How would you feel if you died a virgin? Well, you most likely be reborn as a powerful being in this world. Welcome to Anime Recap Pro. Today we will be recapping a Japanese isekai anime titled That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Caution, spoilers ahead. Episode 1 and 2. The story opens up as we are introduced to Satoru Mikami, 37, a typical office worker who is happy with his boring life in Tokyo, except that he's never had a girlfriend. In the middle of a casual conversation with a coworker, he is stabbed by a stranger on the street. But as he dies from his wounds, a strange voice keeps repeating itself in his head, giving him a bunch of orders that he can't understand. When Satoru wakes up, he finds that he has been reborn as a glob of slime in a world he doesn't know. By doing this, he learns new skills, like eating anything and copying its look and abilities. Then he finds a sealed storm dragon, Veldora, a catastrophe-level monster locked away for 300 years because it burned down a town. Satoru befriends him because he feels sorry for him and promises to help him break the seal. In exchange, Veldora gives him the name Rimuru Tempest to protect him from the gods. Rimuru then uses his predator skill to swallow Veldora inside of him so that they can examine him from all angles. This aids Veldora in discovering a way to shatter his seal. After a party of human explorers uncovers the opening, Rimuru makes his way out of the cave after earning more talents by consuming the other monsters. After that, Rimuru comes across some goblins asking him for assistance defending them from some direwolves. Episode 3. He fights the direwolves with the help of the goblins and kills their leader, which forces them to give up and join him. Rimuru gives the goblins and direwolves names. This uses a lot of magic, which he doesn't realize at the time, and convinces them to live together in peace. He then passes out for 3 days because he has used up all of his magic when doing so. When he wakes up, he finds that the goblins and direwolves have evolved because of the names he gave them. Rimuru and a small group of goblins decide to go to the town of Dwargen to ask for help from dwarf artisans because they didn't know how to make houses or clothes. Episode 4 and 5. Rimuru and the goblin riders head out to Dwargen, where they encounter a few confrontations with thugs, guards, and Vest, a minister, and finally meet King Gazelle Dwargo in a courtroom. Rimuru and the companions he made there are banished for their crimes. This works in Rimuru's favor as he now has skilled artisans, Kaijin and his brothers. Episode 6. Remember Eren, Kaval, and Guido, the adventurers who found that Veldora had disappeared from the cave, are told by a guildmaster to look into the forest. A girl named Shizu asks to join them. When they get into trouble, Rimuru comes to their aid. Rimuru bonds with Shizu by talking about how they both come from Japan. Episode 7. Shizu remembers how sad she was when the Ifrit in her killed her friend because it thought she was an enemy. Shizu is about to leave with the adventurers when Ifrit takes control of her and sends his flames through the village. Rimuru copies Eren's ice magic spell to eliminate Ifrit's minions because his water spells didn't work. After receiving a deadly fire attack from Ifrit, he discovers that he couldn't be hurt by fire, so he uses his predator ability to swallow Ifrit and separate him from Shizu. Episode 8. However, Shizu's life is ending, and she doesn't want her body to stay in this world. She asks Rimuru to eat her so he can change into a human. Rimuru decides to find out about Leon so he can avenge her. Episode 9. As Rimuru gets used to the body and powers he inherited from Shizu, a group of ogres attacks the goblins. They say Rimuru has been using orcs to attack their village, and they blame him. Rimuru proves to the ogres that he is not their enemy by showing them how strong he is. He then invites them to the Goblin village to talk things over. Episode 10. Rimuru wants the ogres to work for him after discovering that a masked Majin led the orcs who attacked the orc village. Rimuru agrees to a short-term alliance with the ogres until the orcs are defeated. He gives them the names Benimaru, Shana, Shion, and Hakuro, Soe, and Kurube, which turns them into Kaijins. The leader of the Lizardmen can tell that thousands of orcs are being led by an orc lord, so he sends his sons Gabiru to ask the goblins for help. Episode 12. Rimuru and his subordinates are still meeting with Trainee the Dryad. Soe says that he has checked out the destroyed ogre village and found that all of the dead ogres and orcs have vanished. Trainee says that the orcs who are still alive ate them. When an orc turns into an orc lord, they get a skill called Starved, which is similar to Rimuru's Predator, but works differently. First, when Rimuru eats someone using Predator, he has a 100% chance of getting their skills, but they only work for him. Compare this to the Starving Ones, which has a much lower success rate and makes its users go crazy from hunger. Instead, it causes mutations in the whole species. The orcs already have the strength of the ogres, so they want the Lizardman's speed, agility, and ability to walk on water. But the worst thing that could happen is that they will go after the strong monsters that Rimuru has gathered and the dryads and treants that Trainee is protecting. When all the creatures of the Jura Forest combine their powers, they will become a plague that cannot be stopped and will spread like a swarm of locusts that changes quickly. As if that wasn't enough to get Rimuru to act, Trainee also tells him that Gelmud, a mageon who works for a demon lord, is telling the orcs what to do. Rimuru agrees to kill the orc lord to keep his promise to Shizu. Sora's first job is establishing good diplomatic relations with the Lizardman chieftain. This will help even the odds against the 200,000 orcs. In the meantime, Gabiru wakes up after being humiliated by Gobta. He immediately realizes that Gobta was the strongest fighter in the village and that they told him he was weak to trick him. Laplace, one of Gelmud's co-workers, tells him that the Lizardmen will attack the settlement and worries that Gabiru's father might not be strong enough to fight them. So Gabiru decides to take control of the tribe and lead his people to victory over the orcs. So he gets to the Lizardman village and forces his way into the chief's room. So he tells the chief to fight a defensive battle until Rimuru's reinforcements arrive and take care of the orc army. The orc army is right next to them. After stopping Soe from killing one of his guards for insulting Rimuru, the chief figures out a few things. Soe, who used to be an ogre but is now a kaijin after being named by Rimuru, is a very powerful being. Since Rimuru is the one who named him, he must be even more powerful. If such a person with such subordinates come to help him, the Lizardman's chance of staying alive and winning will go up dramatically. 4 days later, while Rimuru's reinforcements are still on their way, Gabiru takes over as chief. Gabiru shows he is a good military leader by fighting guerrilla wars against the orc and reducing their numbers by hitting them and running away. But he is surprised by the fear of an army that eats its dead soldiers. Episode 13. Through the forest, Rimuru and his strike team of Benimaru, Soe, Shion, Akuro, and Gobta and Ranga's goblin riders are charging into battle. Rigurd and the other people in the village are waiting to leave in case they don't hear from the group. Soe finds a member of the Lizardman's guard fighting a group of orcs. Rimuru tells Soe to save the guardswoman and kill the orcs. After she is healed, she tells them Gabiru, the guard's brother, has replaced their father as the village chief and is leading the men against the orcs. Rimuru, who knows what's going on and is impressed by Shion's faith in them, tells Soe to go with the one they saved and free the chief and his followers while the rest of them save Gabiru and his men from the orcs. Gabiru and his army of lizardmen and goblins are fighting the orcs, and it looks like they are winning because they are faster. But all of a sudden, after an orc eats one of the lizardmen, they pick up speed. Gabiru figures out that the orcs have gotten his men's skills because they now have webbed feet and scaly skin. The lizardmen and the goblins are surrounded by orcs, which are now much faster, still stronger, and more in number. Gabiru realizes that he and his men could run away, but their goblin allies aren't as fast as them and would also be eaten. So Gabiru decides to buy time by going up against the orc general himself. Gelmud and Laplace talk about how well their plan is going. But Trainee comes in and tries to kill both Mageon with a spirit he has called up because of what they did. Instead, the two Mageon run away, saying they've already done what they set out to do. Gabiru bites bravely against the orc, but he loses and is almost eaten. However, Gobta and Ranga appear out of nowhere through shadow motion to protect Gabiru's forces. Ranga and Benimaru use their area of effect attacks, Black Flame and Death Storm, while Hakura and Shion cut through the chaos and kill the last few orcs. This starts the orc army massacre. Soe, meanwhile, has killed all of the orcs who have taken over the Lizardman's village and saved the Lizardmen who were still there. He also uses one of his puppet orcs to send a message to the Mageon who killed his tribe's people. He does this by cutting that orc into small pieces. Rimuru, who can fly, sees the Orc Lord through all of the chaos and flies over the quickly shrinking army to confront him. Gelmud is watching the battle through one of his crystal balls. He realizes his plan will fail if he doesn't do something to eliminate the new monsters. So he also flies to the battlefield so as to not make his master unhappy. Want to find out what happens next? Stay tuned for part 2. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe.